we're here today with Michael J. Fox. He's got a brand new book out. It's called Always Looking Up, The Adventures of an Incurable Optimist. Thank you for joining Borders today. It's great to have you.
My pleasure. It's me.
Yeah, so you had another book in 2002. It's called Lucky Man. It was after you had basically come out and talked about having Parkinson's disease, and you talked about living with the disease at that time. What was it about now that made you want to write another book and follow up on that?
Well, it's kind of the first book was more of a straight memoir, and it was really my life up to that point, and my career, my family, and certainly my life subsequent to being diagnosed with Parkinson's and all of the issues that came with that. And then I just, one of the things that people talked to me about that book most of all was its sense of optimism, which I hadn't really thought about specifically. I mean, I just was telling the story. And so then a couple of years ago, I was thinking about optimism, and I was thinking about it'd be cool to write a book, more of an empirical look at optimism and look at how it exists in certain places and how it affects certain people's actions and all this stuff. And then as I looked at that, I thought, well, that's more kind of reporting, and I don't really do that. There are better people than me at doing that. So then I started to just think about optimism as it applied to like the last 10 years of my life, because in 1990 I left Spin City and I just kind of left my acting career, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And it was just interesting to me how just having a sense of a curiosity about what was next kind of overrode any kind of doubts I had about what I was giving up. So I kind of stepped into this great wide open, and a lot of things came from it, the foundation and my political advocacy and activism and my relationship with my family. And so I just started to spill it out, and then like a few hundred pages later, I had a book. So,
you know, the book is a great combination of humor and serious topics. You talked about the foundation, obviously your family, faith. There's all these really important tenets that make up this book, but humor runs through the entire thing, which really sort of is one of those propulsive forces through the book. How has humor helped you in this phase of your life, this post-acting part of your life?
Well, you know, I always say, like, the scariest people to me in the whole wide world are people who don't have a sense of humor, because you never know what you're dealing with there. I mean, humor is the great. Humor is what greases the skids, you know. So you know, humor is just really, and when you get 4 kids, everything's funny.
Yeah.
Everything's funny. It's brutal. So, and my kids are always making me laugh, and my wife has an amazing sense of humor, which accounts for the fact that she's been married to me for 20 years.
So you talk about the actual writing. You said 100 pages later you have a book. I know there's a ton of people who want to know, like, with your state of Parkinson's, how do you write? Do you have somebody that helps you? Do you write it out yourself?
I have an assistant. In this case, is a guy named Asher Spiller, who's a brilliant kid, and I shouldn't say kid. He's a college graduate who philosophy major, and I always joke with him and say, so this is what philosophy majors do. Like, I always wonder what they do when they graduate. Do they like open a philosophy stand? Like, what do you do? I would basically, you know, pace back and forth in my office, or on vacation. He'd come with us on summer vacation, and just speak it out, and with an idea of what I wanted to say, and then he would print it out for me, and then I'd sit down and look at it, and now it was no longer a spoken piece. I'd look at it as a written piece and kind of edit it for being for the ear to being for the eye.
Right.
And the rhythms are different. You know, the way you, like, for example, with comedy, not that I was ever trying to overtly be funny in the book, the humor comes more to the circumstance, but in telling a story, if it's funny, the timing of it is different than if you sat down and told the story. I mean, you have to set it up differently and pay it off differently. And but that was my process. And you know, Asher, you know, because obviously for every page you read, I wrote 10 and whittled it down, and so he had to withstand a lot of my family history and my personal philosophy and insights and lack thereof. So he deserves big credit.